All right, friends, for this video, you're going to need your notebook, your pencil, your scissors, and a glue stick. So go ahead and get that now. You're also going to need this sheet right here where it says steps to measuring an angle with a protractor. So go ahead and get that. Okay, so yesterday we talked about how we were going to start measuring angles, and we've kind of already measured angles with circles, and now we're going to start measuring angles with a protractor. And a protractor is the tool that we use to measure angles in degrees. So that's what we're going to do today. So go ahead and open up to the next clean sheet in your notebook. All right, so you need to number page 150, 151. We're going to title 150 Protractor Practice. We're going to title 151 Steps to Use a Protractor. So go ahead and pause and do that now. Then you're going to need your scissors and that blue paper. All right, so we said that a protractor is the tool used to measure angles in degrees. So that's the tool we're using as a protractor. Now, I know some of you have already used a protractor last year in third grade, and some have used them with our stations, and that's great. But what you're going to do is you're going to cut out step 1, and this is a step-by-step of how to use the protractor. So step 1 says, place the origin over the point or vertex of the angle. So the point or vertex of the angle is where the two meet. And inside the protractor is a little circle. That's the origin. So that's going to be step 1. So what we're going to do is you're going to hopefully carefully cut that out just like mine. And then we're going to put glue on the back. And you're going to have to watch how I'm doing mine, because if you want them all to fit, you're going to have to follow what I'm doing. So I'm going to put step 1 right there in my notebook. So go ahead and do that. All right, so carefully cut out number 2. And number 2 says to align one of the rays of the angle with the baseline of the protractor. Now, it kind of cut it off, so you're going to have to draw it in. So it has this ray lined up with the baseline, the very bottom of it. So if this was my vertex, that's lined up with the origin. Then you're going to make sure that one of your rays is lined up with the bottom line, that baseline. So we're going to take step 2 once you carefully cut it out. And remember, just pause whenever you need to. And we're going to put step 2 right next to step 1. So carefully glue that down. All right, let's carefully cut out step 3. Now, step 3 says start at 0. I'm going to circle that because that is the most important part of a protractor, is making sure to figure out which one is lined up with 0, because there's 0 on the inside numbers and 0 on the outside numbers. So if my ray is on this side, my 0 is right here. So I'm going to pay attention to the inside numbers. So I'm going to look to see where my angle lines up on my inside numbers. If it was lined up, if my ray was lined up on this side, the 0 is on the outside right there, I would be paying attention to the outside numbers. So you have to pay attention with where your 0 is so you can start at 0. So let's cut that out, and we're going to glue it down. Right here under step 1. So we have 1, 2, 3. So make sure you have all that, and then we're going to go to step 4. All right, so step 4 says to carefully use the corresponding scale. That means what I just said. If we're lined up at 0 over here, then we're using the inside numbers. If we're lined up with 0 over here, we're using the outside numbers. So that's which scale it's talking about. So you're going to use the corresponding scale to determine the measure of the angle. So where it lines up, that would be the measure of the angle, because I'm paying attention to the inside numbers. So here I had 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 is where it crossed. So it is 70 degrees. Now, while we are carefully gluing that down, I'm going to ask you, what kind of angle would I have if I had a 70-degree angle? Would it be acute, right, obtuse, straight? What would it be? It would be acute because it's less than 90. So make sure you have all this down for steps to use a protractor on 151. Once you have that, you need to come get the sheet titled Determining Angles with a Protractor. Come get that from me. All right, on determining angles with protractors, it says use the protractor to determine each angle. So if you look, you're going to have to pay attention. So here's where it's lined up. Here's where my ray is. So my 0, is it on the inside or the outside? It's on the inside. So I'm paying attention to the inside numbers for my angle. Look at number 2. Here's where it lines up in the origin. There's where it lines up on the baseline. Is my 0 on the inside or the outside? This time it's on the outside, so I'm paying attention to the outside numbers. I want you to go through and circle the zeros for each one of the protractors so we can pay attention to if we're looking at the inside numbers or outside numbers. So do that first. All right, so for number 3, you should have circled this 0. So we're paying attention to the outside numbers. Same for number 4 and same for number 5. But when you look at number 6, our 0 is on the inside. So we're paying attention to these inside numbers. For number 7, we're looking at the outside numbers. 8, inside. 9, outside. And 10, inside. So what you're going to do is you're going to decide the angle measure and write it over here. Now, don't forget your degree sign. So whatever your answer is, it needs to have the degree sign at the end of each answer. When you're done with that, you're going to check it with me, and then we will tape it down on page 150, and I will give you a sheet to complete on your own. If you have any questions, come on over to the table. Thanks, guys.